always unforgiving facts. The fault lies in us. It is better to have less unborn facts and more lightning Tell me, and I will forget. Show me, and I will forget. Involve me, and I will understand. If you talk to the animals, they will talk with you, and you will know each other. If you do not talk to them, you will not know them. And what you do not know, you will fear. What one fears, one destroys. It is less of a problem to be poor than to be dishonest. Before eating, always take time to thank the food. When you know who you are, when your mission is clear, and you burn with the inner fire of unbreakable will, no cold can touch your heart, no deluge can dampen your purpose. You know that you are alive. The frog does not drink up the pond in which he lives. Hold on to what is good, even if it's a handful of earth. Hold on to what you believe, even if it's a tree that stands by itself. And hold on to what you must do, even if it's a long way from you. Hold on to your life, even if it's easier to let go. Hold on to it, even if someday you become away from it. If you wander often, the gift of knowledge will come. What is life? Is it the flash of a firefly? Is it the breath of a buffalo lifted? Is it a little shadow which hides across the grass and loses itself in the sunset? Each person is his own judge. I am poor and naked, but I am the chief of the nation. We do not want riches, but we do want to train our children right. Riches would do us no good. We could not take them with us to the other world, and we do not want riches. We want peace and love. Man's law changes with the understanding of man. Only the laws of the spirit remain always the same. Listen, or your tongue will make you deaf. below the anger, the hurt, the hate, the jealousy, the self-pity, way down deeper where the dreams lie, son. Find your dream. It's the pursuit of the dream that heals you. When we show our respect for other living things, they respond with respect for us. There is no death, only a change of worlds. So long as mists envelop you, be still until the sunlight pours through and dispels the mist. As it surely will, then act with courage. The land is sacred. These words are at the core of your being. The land is our mother. The rivers our home. Take our land away and we die. It is easy to be brave from a distance. I have seen that in any great undertaking, it is not enough for a man to depend simply upon himself. It is no longer good enough to cry peace. We must act peace, live peace, and live in peace. We do not inherit the earth as masters. We borrow it from our children. When a man moves away from nature, his heart becomes hard. The idea of a full dress for preparation for a battle comes not from the belief that it will add to the fighting ability. The preparation is for death, in case that should be the result of the conflict. Every Indian wants to look his best when he goes to meet the Great Spirit. So the dressing up is done whether an imminent danger is not come in battle, or a sickness or injury at times of peace. We must protect the forest for our children, grandchildren, and children yet to be born. We must protect the forest for those who can speak for themselves, such as the birds, animals, fish, and trees. Being Indian is an attitude, a state of mind, a way of being in harmony with all things and all beings. It is allowing the heart to be a distributor of energy in this planet.
speaking generically, I think having our beliefs map onto reality to some degree is obviously good, because if they're not, you're just bumping into hard objects. Like if your map is completely wrong, you are bound to suffer. Right? So we have to be in a situation where radical ignorance can't be bliss. Right? So that's one principle. Now there could be a looseness of fit. There could be situations where being strictly right about what's true may be non-optimal. Right? It may be useful to have a slightly delusional, self-serving bias, right? To think you're coming off better than you are. Like it may give you more enthusiasm for your life, more confidence, but anything that's too out of register is just delusion, right? And other people notice, and other people treat you like somebody who's not tracking reality. And so that's one principle. So I think we want our beliefs to be true in some basic sense. And therefore, we want to be open to new evidence and better arguments perpetually. Right? Because if you close yourself off and you say, listen, I'm done thinking about reality, and I know what's true, then again, when more data comes in, when something's surprising, when one of your intuitions proves to be faulty, if you can't error correct, again, you're just going to fall out of alignment with what's going on in the world and what other people think is true as well. So really the only mechanism we have to do that is human conversation. We have to be open to having other people point out errors in our thinking, and we have in the conversation we have with ourselves, we have to do. We have to be continually open to the possibility that we might be wrong, and in fact, we're very likely to be wrong a lot of the time. And so then hence the virtue of getting educated and surrounding yourself with smart people and reading good books and just exposing yourself to the kinds of lessons that other people have learned over thousands of years and are learning in real time right now. And you can live vicariously through. You don't have to make all the errors that everyone has made around you. So you don't have to. It's like you can look at Lance Armstrong and say, okay, well, it's probably not a good idea to lie, relentlessly about something, and then try to punish the people who caught you in your lies, and then get caught and have to wind up on Oprah apologizing, right? I mean, that's you can internalize that lesson and understand something about the ethics and reputational costs of lying. So. Given that conversation and an openness to the intrusions of other people's thinking is really the best game in town for understanding what reality is and how to navigate within it, then you can see how non-optimal and ultimately dangerous dogmatism is. And dogmatism is just holding to an idea no matter what else comes into view. Right? So there's nothing you can say to challenge this. I'm so, I'll talk to you about all this stuff, but over here, there's something that I care about, some proposition, some assertion that something is true that I care about so much. I'm so emotionally attached to it that not only is it non-negotiable, if you continue to push over here, I'm going to get angrier and angrier. Right? I'm going to threaten you with violence. Right? That is the default state of organized religion. Right? Historically, and certain religions now have kind of relaxed their intolerance to a degree where the violence isn't explicit, but that is not only is that the default of faith-based religion, they have a way of thinking about dogma. I mean, dogmatism is a good word in the context of religion. I mean, Christian dogma is not a derogatory term. They call it dogma for a reason, right? Certainly the Catholics do. So this notion that you can believe something strongly without evidence, or certainly without good evidence, or without evidence that can survive pressure from outside. So the idea that wanting evidence is a perversion of your circumstance, right? So like you really, if you buy this thing in the bag that I haven't shown you, that redounds to your credit, right? It's not true, because the experiential core of these religions, and the experiences like unconditional love, say, those can be experienced. I mean, it's not that everything in our religious literature is untrue, but there's nothing that has to be believed on insufficient evidence to be explored. And so what I recommend here is that we really adopt a scientific attitude everywhere. We don't partition our thinking about reality where we say, well, here's the stuff over here where super important, but we can't think about it too rigorously, right? In fact, to think about it too rigorously is to corrupt it. And then over here, we've got, science and technology and, engineers calculating whether a bridge is going to, withstand the weight of the traffic on it. And there we can think rigorously. So, don't tell me about rigor with respect to meaning and, what's worth living for and what's worth dying for, and, what is love and compassion and well-being. Like, that's all. That has to be just, we have to be hostage to a conversation that our ancestors were having 2,000 years ago. And we have to imagine that certain of our books were dictated by the creator of the universe to organize all that. But over here, let's get all dialed in because we really care about how our smartphones work. Right? It makes no sense. Trying to resolve that tension is something I've spent a lot of time on.
So I want to start off with a few questions. And I know a lot of other presenters have already asked you questions, and they've been kind of hard questions. But the questions I'm going to ask you are very, very simple. And I promise you'll be able to answer these. All right, are you ready for your first one? Okay. Your first question is, you don't have to answer out loud. Okay, got your answer? All right. My second question for you is, why? If you're having a good day, why are you having a good day? A bad day, why are you having a bad day?
So you want to know where to invest $1,000 right now? Well, forget about...
So I have one more question for you. This should be the easiest one of all. My last question is, tomorrow, would you rather have a good day? Or would you rather have a bad day? Do you have an answer for that one? What about the day after tomorrow? What about Sunday? Let's see, yeah, that's right. Tomorrow's Saturday, Sunday. How about Monday? Would you like to have a good day or a bad day on Monday? Tuesday? Wednesday? Thursday? This time next week? A good day or a bad day? So that last question, like I said, is probably the easiest one for us to answer because we know the answer to that, don't we? You want to have a good day every day. Did anyone in the room answer, yes, I want to have a bad day on Monday? Of course not. We all want to have a good day every day. So this is really speaking to the type of happiness that we all wish for in our heart of hearts. We have a good day when we are happy. And we want to be happy every day. There's never a day when we don't want to be happy. But whether or not we have good days or bad days really depends upon how we answered the second question. Do you remember the second question? What was the second question? Why? Why am I having a good day? Why am I having a bad day? So one thing that my teacher says, his name is Geshe Kelsang Gyatso, and he says that much of the time Our mind is like a balloon in the wind, blown here and there by external circumstances. Do you know that feeling? He says when things are going well, when they're going our way, we feel happy. But then if something goes wrong, for example, he says if we're forced to work with a colleague that we dislike, but I'm sure none of you have colleagues you dislike, right? He says if we're forced to work with someone we dislike or if something doesn't go our way, then our happy feeling disappears. So as long as our answer to the question, why am I having a good day or why am I having a bad day? Because this is a question people ask us, like maybe when you get home today, someone will go, well, so how was that TED thing? Did you have a good day? And we'll say, yeah, I did. There was this lady and she talked to us about how we need to be about compassionate towards former inmates, and there was this performer who did this awesome beatboxing thing with his mouth, and this. As long as our reasons for why we had a good day are a list of external conditions, then we're not going to have the stable happiness that we all want. Does that make sense to you? Because if that's what our happiness depends upon, because we cannot control people and circumstances every single day, then our happiness will be in the hands of others only. It'll be at the whim of our circumstances. So if you really wish to have a good day every day, we've got two things we need to do. So the thing that we need to do is we need to stop outsourcing our happiness and outsourcing our unhappiness onto people and circumstances. In other words, we need to stop attributing our happiness to what's going on externally. And we need to stop blaming others, especially blaming others, for our unhappiness. So for as long as we do that, as long as we're making it the job of people and circumstances to make us happy, or as long as we're making it their fault when we're unhappy, our happiness will be very unstable and elusive. Our second job is to actively cultivate a source of peace and a source of happiness coming from inside our own mind. So here's something I want you to commit to memory. Are you ready? This is another line from one of my teacher's books where he says, happiness and unhappiness are states of mind, and therefore their real causes cannot be found outside the mind. So if we have a peaceful state of mind, we will be happy regardless of people and circumstances. If our mind is unpeaceful or agitated, then even if we have very good circumstances, we'll find it impossible to be happy. So in other words, it's not what is happening that is making us happy or unhappy. It is how we are responding to those things that determines whether we are happy or unhappy. It is what our state of mind is like that determines our happiness or our unhappiness. So how are we going to do this? So we can all understand this. Like intellectually, it's not rocket science, is it? It's not hard to understand. And maybe to a certain extent, as I tell you these things, you're like, yeah, I knew that already. I knew that already. But how do we actually do it? How do we actually cultivate this stable peace of mind that we can rely upon regardless of the external circumstances? So this is really where meditation comes into play. And I would say I would need a whole other TED Talk in order to really do the subject of meditation justice. But for our purposes today, we can say that meditation is a mental action. It's the mental action of concentrating on a peaceful, positive state of mind. If we do that, we concentrate on a peaceful, positive state of mind, then we can say we're meditating. Whether that's like this, right? See, I actually don't know if I'm meditating or not, because I could be thinking about my grocery list. It's only meditation if I'm actually focusing on a positive, peaceful state of mind. But the trick is I can do it like this. This is called formal meditation. But we can also learn to do this all the time in our daily life. So see, here's a perfect opportunity. We concentrate on a mind of patience. We're not disturbed, not unhappy. So I want to start off with a few questions. And I know a lot of other presenters have already asked you questions, and they've been kind of hard questions. But the questions I'm going to ask you are very, very simple. And I promise you'll be able to answer these. All right, are you ready for your first one? Okay. Your first question is, you don't have to answer out loud. Are you having a good day? Okay, got your answer? All right. My second question for you is, why? You're having a good day? Why are you having a good day? Or you're having a bad day? Why are you having a bad day? So I have one more question for you. This should be the easiest one of all. My last question is, tomorrow, would you rather have a good day? Or would you rather have a bad day? Do you have an answer for that one? What about the day after tomorrow? What about Sunday? Let's see, yeah, that's right. Tomorrow's Saturday, Sunday. How about Monday? Would you like to have a good day or a bad day on Monday? Tuesday? Wednesday? This time next week? Good day or a bad day? So that last question, like I said, is probably the easiest one for us to answer, because we know the answer to that, don't we? We want to have a good day every day. Did anyone in the room answer, yes, I want to have a bad day on Monday? Of course not. We all want to have a good day every day. So this is really speaking to the type of happiness that we all wish for in our heart of hearts. We have a good day when we are happy. And we want to be happy every day. There's never a day when we don't want to be happy. But whether or not we have good days or bad days really depends upon how we answered the second question. Do you remember the second question? What was the second question? Why? Why am I having a good day? Why am I having a bad day? So one thing that my teacher says, his name is Geshe Kelsang Gyatso, and he says that much of the time, our mind is like a balloon in the wind, blown here and there by external circumstances. Do you know that feeling? He says when things are going well, when they're going our way, we feel happy. But then if something goes wrong, for example, he says if we're forced to work with a colleague that we dislike, but I'm sure none of you have colleagues you dislike, right? He says if we're forced to work with someone we dislike or if something doesn't go our way, then our happy feeling disappears. So as long as our answer to the question, why am I having a good day or why am I having a bad day? Because this is a question people ask us, like maybe when you get home today, someone will go, well, so how was that TED thing? Did you have a good day? And we'll say, yeah, I did. There was this lady and she talked to us about how we need to be about compassionate towards former inmates, and there was this performer who did this awesome beatboxing thing with his mouth, and this person and that person. As long as our reasons for why we had a good day are a list of external conditions, then we're not going to have the stable happiness that we all want. Does that make sense to you? Because if that's what our happiness depends upon, because we cannot control people and circumstances every single day, then our happiness will be in the hands of others, won't it? It'll be at the whim of our circumstances. So if you really wish to have a good day every day, we've got two things we need to do. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to stop outsourcing our happiness and outsourcing our unhappiness onto people and circumstances. In other words, we need to stop attributing our happiness to what's going on externally. And we need to stop blaming others especially blaming others, for our unhappiness. So for as long as we do that, as long as we're making it the job of people and circumstances to make us happy, or as long as we're making it their fault when we're unhappy, our happiness will be very unstable and elusive. Our second job is to actively cultivate a source of peace and a source of happiness coming from inside our own mind. So here's something I want you to commit to memory. Are you ready? This is another line from one of my teacher's books where he says, happiness and unhappiness are states of mind, and therefore their real causes cannot be found outside the mind. So if we have a peaceful state of mind, we will be happy regardless of people and circumstances. If our mind is unpeaceful or agitated, then even if we have very good circumstances, we'll find it impossible to be happy. So in other words, it's not what is happening that is making us happy or unhappy. It is how we are responding to those things that determines whether we are happy or unhappy. It is what our state of mind is like that determines our happiness or our unhappiness. So how are we going to do this? So we can all understand this. Like intellectually, it's not rocket science, is it? It's not hard to understand. And maybe to a certain extent, as I tell you these things, you're like, yeah, I knew that already. I knew that already. But how do we actually do it? How do we actually cultivate this stable peace of mind that we can rely upon regardless of the external circumstances? So this is really where meditation comes into play. And I would say I would need a whole other TED Talk in order to really do the subject of meditation justice. But for our purposes today, we can say that meditation is a mental action. It's the mental action of concentrate on a peaceful, positive state of mind. If we do that, we concentrate on a peaceful, positive state of mind, then we can say we're meditating. Whether that's like this, right? See, actually, you don't know if I'm meditating or not, because I could be thinking about my grocery list. It's only meditation if I'm actually focusing on a positive, peaceful state of mind. But the trick is, I can do it like this. This is called formal meditation. But we can also learn to do this all the time in our daily life. So see, here's a perfect opportunity. We concentrate on a mind of patience. We're not disturbed, not unhappy.
To a greater or lesser degree, we're always at war. We're always fighting something. There's always this, like, you're always noticing something wrong, you're feeling uncomfortable in your body, you're reacting to something that somebody did or you thought they did, you're navigating a social encounter that seems off kilter, it's awkward, and like you're trying to figure out what to say, and that sounds stupid, but you're just being blown around. And the moments where you really feel good, the moments where there isn't a coming to rest, right? Where it's not about the past or future. It's not about half a second ago, it's not about half a second from now. And the ultimate version of that is entails the topic of this sense of terror. Anything to do about flourishing? Unfortunately not. I think that, the wisdom would be really being able to.
You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love. Do the difficult things while they are easy, and do great things while they are small. A journey of 1,000 miles must begin with a single step. The easiest and noblest way is not to be crushing others, but to be improving yourselves. I have never met a man so ignorant that I couldn't learn something from him. Your days are numbered. Use them to throw open the windows of your soul to the sun. If you do not, the sun will soon set, and you with it. The bravest are surely those who have the clearest vision of what is before them, glory and danger alike, and yet notwithstanding, go out to meet it. Make the best use of what's in your power, and take the rest as it happens. In the midst of chaos, there is also opportunity. Great is the power of habit. It teaches us to bear fatigue and to despise wounds and pain. The nobler a man, the harder it is for him to suspect inferiority in others. The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. Our life is what our thoughts make it. Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. Every living organism is fulfilled when it follows the right path for its own nature. True wisdom comes to each of us when we understand about life, ourselves, and the world around us. No one has the right to be sorry for himself for a misfortune that strikes everyone. Live as brave men, and if fortune is adverse, front its blows with brave hearts. The function of wisdom is to discriminate between good and evil. You can't teach anybody anything, only make them realize the answers are already inside them. Nature is relentless and unchangeable, and it is indifferent as to whether its hidden reasons and actions are understandable to man or not. All truths are easy to understand once they are discovered. The point is to discover them. There are those who reason well, but they are greatly outnumbered by those who reason badly. In the sciences, the authority of 1,000 opinions is not worth as much as one tiny spark of reason in an individual man. Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power. When you are content to be simply yourself and don't compare or compete, everybody will respect you. Great acts are made up of small deeds. Of all forms of caution, caution in love is perhaps the most fatal to true happiness. Waking up to who you are requires letting go of who you imagine yourself to be. Any person capable of angering you becomes your master. He can anger you only when you permit yourself to be disturbed by him. He who has a why to live for can bear almost any how. Between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. There are two things a person should never be angry at: what they can help and what they cannot. People are like dirt. They can either nourish you and help you grow as a person, or they can stunt your growth and make you wilt and die. seek happiness by limiting my desires, rather than in attempting to satisfy them. The secret to happiness, you see, is not found in seeking more, but in developing the capacity to enjoy less. A hero is born among 100. A wise man is found among 1,000. But an accomplished one might not be found even among 100,000 men. Any man may easily do harm, but not every man can do good to another. The greatest blessings of mankind are within us and within our reach. A wise man is content with his lot, whatever it may be, without wishing for what he has not. Aspire to be like Mount Fuji, with such a broad and solid foundation that the strongest earthquake cannot move you, and so tall that the greatest enterprises of common men seem insignificant from your lofty perspective. With your mind as high as Mount Fuji, you can see all things clearly, and you can see all the forces that shape events, not just the things happening near to you. It does not matter how slowly you go, as long as you do not stop. When it is obvious that goals can't be reached, don't adjust the goals, but adjust the action steps. If a person gave your body to any stranger he met on his way, you would certainly be angry. And do you feel no shame in handing over your own mind to be confused and mystified by anyone who happens to verbally attack you? There is only one way to avoid criticism. Do nothing, say nothing, and be nothing. Sometimes people don't want to hear the truth because they don't want their illusions destroyed. Never discourage anyone who continually makes progress, no matter how slow. All things are subject to interpretation. Whichever interpretation prevails at a given time is a function of power and not truth. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Life is long enough, and a sufficiently generous amount has been given to us for the highest achievements, if it were all well invested. But when it is wasted in heedless luxury and spent on no good activity, we are forced at last by death's final constraint to realize that it has passed away before we knew it was passing. So it is. We are not given a short life, but we make it short, and we are not supplied or wasteful of it. Life is long enough, if you know how to use it. Philosophy does not promise to secure anything external from man, otherwise it would be admitting something that lies beyond its proper subject matter. For as the material of the carpenter is wood, and that of statuary bronze, so the subject matter of the art of living is each person's own life. My advice is really this. What we hear the philosophers say and what we find in their writings should be applied in our pursuit of a happy life. We should hunt out the helpful pieces of teaching and the spirited and noble minded sayings which are capable of immediate practical application, not far-fetched or archaic expressions, or extravagant metaphors or figures of speech, and learn them so well that the words become works. No one, to my mind, lets humanity down quite so much as those who study philosophy, as if it were a sort of commercial skill, and then proceeds to live in a quite different manner to the one they tell other people to live. It does not matter what you bear, but how you bear it. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. The chief task in life is simply this: to identify and separate matters so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals not under my control, and which have to do with the choices I actually control. Where then do I look for good and evil? Not to uncontrollable externals, but within myself, to the choices that are my own. True happiness is to enjoy the present, without anxious dependence upon the future, not to amuse ourselves with loves or fears, but to rest satisfied with what we have, which is sufficient. For he that is so wants nothing. The greatest blessings of mankind are within us, and within our reach. A wise man is content with his lot, whatever it may be, without wishing for what he has not. Don't seek for everything to happen as you wish it would, but rather wish that everything happens as it actually will. Then your life will flow well. If anyone can refute me, show me I'm making a mistake or looking at things from the wrong perspective, I'll gladly change. It's the truth I'm after, and the truth never harmed anyone. If you accomplish something good with hard work, the labor passes quickly, but the good endures. If you do something shameful in pursuit of pleasure, the pleasure passes quickly, but the shame endures. A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. Be tolerant with others, and strict with yourself. But it is in their power not to want what they don't have, and to cheerfully put to good use what they do have. You will earn the respect of all if you begin by earning the respect of yourself. Don't expect to encourage good deeds in people conscious of your own misdeeds. The greatest discovery of any generation is that a human can alter his life by altering his attitude. Excellence is never an accident. It is always the result of high intention, sincere effort, and intelligent execution. It represents the wise choice of many alternatives. Choice, not chance, determines your destiny. We are more often frightened than kind, and we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Man conquers the world by conquering himself. How does it help to make troubles heavier by moving them? You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. You should live in such a way that there is nothing which you could not as easily tell your enemy as keep to yourself. Waking up to who you are requires letting go of who you imagine yourself to be. The high-minded man must care more for the truth than for what people think. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we should listen and action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Don't promise twice what you can do once. A man who has committed a mistake doesn't correct it. He's committing another mistake. He who has a wide form can bear almost any how. Remember two things. One, that everything has always been the same and keeps recurring. And it makes no difference whether you see the same things recur in 100 years or 200 or in an infinite period. Two, that the longest lived are those who will die soonest use the same thing. The present is all they can give up, since that is all you have. And what you do not have, you cannot lose. For I am not everlasting, but a human being. A part of the whole as an hour is part of the day. Like an hour I must come, and like an hour pass away. Escape death, but at least I can escape the fear of it. Death, therefore, the most awful of evils, is nothing to us. Seeing that when we are, death is not come, and when death is come, we are not. This is what it means to have rehearsed the lessons one brought to ours. Doers that desire an aversion free from every hindrance, and make no proof against chance. I must die. If forthwith, I die. And if a little later, I will take lunch now, since the hour for lunch has come, and afterwards I will die in the appointed time. We fear death. We shudder at life's instability. We grieve to see the flowers waltz again and again, and the leaves fall. In our hearts we know that we too are transitory, and will soon dissipate. When artists create pictures and thinkers search for laws and formulate thoughts, it is in order to salvage something from the great dance of death, to make something last longer than we do. Death is as sure for that which is born, as birth is for that which is dead. Therefore grieve not for what is inevitable. You live as if you were destined to live forever. No thought of your frailty ever enters your head. Of how much time has already gone by, you take no heed. You squander time as if you drew from a full and abundant supply. No more while that day which you bestow on some person or thing is perhaps your last. Death smiles at us all. What we can do is smile back. It is not death a man should fear, but rather he should fear death at the beginning. Choose to die back while you can, wait too long, and it might become impossible to do so. The hour of departure has arrived, and we go our separate ways, I to die, and you to live. Which of these two is better? Only God knows. Do not act as if you had 10,000 years to throw away. Death stands at your elbow. Be good for something while you live, and it is in your power. Since every man dies, it is better to die with distinction than to live long. No one knows whether death is really the greatest blessing man can have, but they fear it is the greatest curse, as if they knew well. Stop whatever you're doing for a moment and ask yourself, am I afraid of death because I won't be able to do this anymore? No evil is honorable, but death is honorable. Therefore, death is not evil. But death and life, honor and dishonor, pain and pleasure, all these things equally happen to good men and bad, being things which make us neither better nor worse. Therefore, they are neither good nor evil. Let us prepare our minds as if we had come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing. Let us balance life's books each day. The one who puts the finishing touches on their life each day
is never short of time. Life is pleasant. Death is peaceful. It's the transition that's troublesome. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. The fear of death follows from the fear of life. A man who lives fully is prepared to die at any time. Perfection of character is this: to live each day as if it were your last, without frenzy, without apathy, without pretense. To study philosophy is nothing but to prepare oneself to die. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become.
Like,
Everything else is secondary.
diagnosis loves every inch of himself. Ask your healthcare provider if Bing Tarby is right.
It is a curious thing, the death of a loved one. We all know that our time in this world is limited, and that eventually all of us will end up underneath some sheet, never to wake up. And yet it is always a surprise when it happens to someone we know. It is like walking up the stairs to your bedroom in the dark, and thinking there is one more stair than there is. Your foot falls down through the air, and there is a sickly moment of dark surprise as you try to readjust the way you thought of things. I must die. Must I then die lamenting? I must be put in chains. Must I then also lament? I must go into exile. Does any man then hinder me from going with smiles and cheerfulness and contentment? We cannot, after all, judge a biography by its length, by the number of pages in it. We must judge the richness of its contents. Sometimes the unfinishes are among the most beautiful symphonies. Death is a stripping away of all that is not you. The secret of life is to die before you die, and find that there is no death. Bushido is realized in the phrase of death. This means choosing death over the higher choice between life and death. There is no other reasoning. It is nothing to die. It is frightful not to live. Each night when I go to sleep, I die, and the next morning when I wake, I am reborn. Every man's life ends the same way. It is only the details of how he lived and how he died that distinguish one man from another. Do not use life to give life to death. Do not use death to bring death to life. Ultimately, man should not ask what the meaning of his life is, but rather he must recognize that it is he who is asked. In a word, each man is questioned by life, and he can only answer to life by answering for his own life. To life, he can only respond by being responsible. No amount of anxiety makes any difference to anything that is going to happen. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Nothing, to my way of thinking, is a better proof of a well-ordered mind than a man's ability to stop just where he is and pass some time in his own company. The greatest weapon against stress is our ability to choose one thought over another. I begin to speak only when I'm certain what I'll say isn't better left unsaid. All Hellenistic schools seem to define wisdom, first and foremost as a state of perfect peace of mind. From this viewpoint, philosophy appears as a remedy for human worries. Theory brought about for the cynics by social constraints and conventions.
What is up?
By the quest for false pleasures. For the Stoics, by the pursuit of pleasure and egotistic self-interest. And for the skeptics, by false opinions.
Oh, my
Whether or not
fucking
they claim
hand.
the Socratic heritage, all Hellenistic philosophers agree with Socrates that human beings are plunged into misery, anguish, and evil because they exist in ignorance. Evil is to be found not within things, but in the value judgments which people bring to bear on things. People can therefore be cured of their errors only if they are persuaded to change their value judgments. And in this sense, all these philosophies wanted to be therapeutic. I am not soothing you or making light of your misfortune. If fate could be overcome by tears, let us bring tears to bear upon it. Let every day be passed in mourning, every night be spent in sorrow instead of sleep. Let your breast be torn by your own hands, your very face attacked by them, and every kind of cruelty be practiced by your grief, if it will profit you. But if the dead cannot be brought back to life, however much we may beat our breasts, if destiny remains fixed and immovable forever, not to be changed by any sorrow, however great, and death does not loose his hold on anything that he has once taken away, then let our futile grief be brought to an end. Let us then steer our own course, and no longer allow ourselves to be driven to leeward by the force of our misfortune. He is a sorry pilot who lets the waves wring his rudder from his grasp, who leaves the sails to fly loose, and abandons the ship to a storm. But he who boldly grasps the helm and clings to it until the sea closes over him deserves praise, even though he be shipwrecked. Never let the future disturb you. You would meet it if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present. There are misfortunes which strike the sage, without incapacitating him, of course, such as physical pain, infirmity, the loss of friends or children, or the catastrophes of his country when it is devastated by war. I grant that he is sensitive to these things, for we do not impute to him the hardness of rock or of iron. There is no virtue in putting up with that which one does not feel. And we say that there is this difference between the mind of a foolish man and that of a wise man, that the foolish man thinks that such visions are in fact as dreadful and terrifying as they appear with the original impact of them on his mind, and by his assent he approves of such ideas as if they were rightly to the thing, and confirms them. But the wise man, after being affected for a short time, and slightly in his colour and expression, does not assent, but retains the steadfastness and strength of the opinion which he has always had about visions of this kind, namely, that they are in no wise to be feared, but excite terror by a false appearance of vain wonders. Don't you know life is like a military campaign? One must serve on watch, another in reconnaissance, another on the front line. So it is for us. Each person's life is a kind of battle, and a long and varied one too. You must keep watch like a soldier, and do everything commanded. You have been stationed in a key post, not some lonely place, and not for a short time, but for life. Seek not for events to happen as you wish, but wish events to happen as they do, and your life will go smoothly. The chief task in life